Hi, I'm Aziza, and this is my mental hospital experience. So, I was hospitalized for 20 days I was admitted on April 26th, and I got out sometime in May. I don't remember exactly when. But, yeah, I was in a mental facility for teenagers, um, and it was an experience. And I'd like to talk about it because before I went in, I was super scared and I was googling like other videos of people's experiences because I was really horrified. And I thought that I should make a video too, just to kind of help others if they're scared, which you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be scared at all. It isn't horrifying. Like it's not like Grave Encounters or anything. It isn't horrifying. It isn't like some horrible chamber. You aren't locked in a cell or anything. You're not tortured. So, but yeah, basically I was hospitalized because I attempted suicide. And that's what most people in there were for. Either attempting suicide, having suicidal thoughts, self-harming, and homicidal thoughts. That's mainly it. That's how they got admitted. So where I stayed, there was a children's unit, a adolescent unit, which is where I stayed, an adult unit, and an EDU, which is an eating disorder unit. So I was in the adolescent unit, and the adolescent unit had both boys and girls. So if you have roommates basically, and so roommates are basically just anyone your gender, and they pick them, I think, kind of with compatibility in mind, because if someone's like really angry, they wouldn't put them in a room with someone else who's really angry or really suicidal. If someone's really suicidal, they wouldn't put them in a room with someone who's also really suicidal. So, my first roommate was pretty good. She was nice. Most of my roommates are actually pretty nice. My experience overall wasn't horrible. However, it wasn't ideal. Like, no one wants to be locked up for 20 days. And I was in there so long. Usually, because it was my first time in a hospital ever, people usually stay in there for about a week or for 5 days when they're new, or it's their first time. But I was in there for such a long time because they kept on switching my medications. Because initially I was on Seroquel, then they changed it to Latuda, and they were kind of monitoring that for a couple of days and weeks. So that's why I was in there so long. But I don't know what else to talk about. Socially, it's a lot like high school. There's a lot of cliques. There's a lot of there's even popular kids, which doesn't make sense because like we're all sick here. Why are there popular kids? It doesn't make any sense. But I wasn't popular, which is fine. Like I don't mind it. I'm not a popular kid in school anyway. But yeah, it's very cliquey. I felt left out a lot because I was shy. I wasn't really aggressive. Like, there was kids in there that were always, like, yelling, causing a fit, like, always being mean to the techs or, like, the nurses or whatever. And I was very compliant, I think. I was super polite to all the adults, and I would go to my groups. So, basically, every day, almost always, there's a group session. So, you have, like, your group room, and I was in group C and group B, because I got switched. And you get switched depending on, like, your behavior or whether someone else is coming into the group, or because sometimes people have claustrophobia and they're allowed to be in like a smaller room. Like my room that I was in for most of the time was pretty small, and so people would get switched if they had like claustrophobia and they couldn't be in that small room, or if they had like a boyfriend or girlfriend in the same group because they wanted to kind of get that not taken care of. Also, it was like high school because there's so many couples in the hospital, and yeah, you shouldn't get a boyfriend or girlfriend in the hospital, I don't think, because it isn't a good idea. Because you both aren't very well, and you both probably aren't good for each other, especially not in the hospital environment. Also, it's not really encouraged. I had a couple friends who were dating, and it was just really stressful, and there's a lot of drama involved in that. So I wouldn't suggest it. Also, which doesn't make sense to me roommate-wise, there was like so many lesbians, bisexual girls, and pansexual girls. There was a couple gay guys, but that was around it. But like, I don't understand why they would put those girls together because, well, I understand it's safer than putting a girl and a boy together, but like, there were so many girls who were doing things in there that they shouldn't have been doing, which is fine. Like, I support it. I'm bisexual myself, so I didn't mind it. I was like, yay, my people. But like, just the whole roommate situation was kind of odd. Food was like, okay, when I was coming in, I was scared about the food because I have like eating issues. So the food is basically like cafeteria food at school. It's like lasagna or like tacos or what else? They had the hospital I was in had really good chicken sliders and like, so that was the best. There's pizza sometimes, or like there's vegetables too. There's also a salad bar if you're like vegetarian or whatever. And they also have a dietitian in there, so like when you first come in, the dietitian like asks you about like if you have any food requirements. So I didn't like most of the food, so I usually just asked for peanut butter and jelly, and there was bread there. You ask for peanut butter and jelly, and they give you little things of it, and you just make your own sandwich. So that's what I did most of the time. You weren't allowed to have caffeine in my hospital. You weren't allowed to smoke cigarettes in my hospital. Well, at least not in the adolescent unit. What else? Dress code wise, like what things you should bring. You should bring leggings if you're a girl or a boy who wears leggings. A hoodie without strings. See, like my hoodie has strings. You're not allowed to have strings in the hospital, so you should take the strings out before you get in because they're scared you might like choke yourself with it. Also, you're not allowed to wear shoes with laces because you might kill yourself with them. So bring slippers or Uggs or or just wear socks. That's what I did most of the time. I just wore socks around. You're allowed to go out. Well, when I was there, it was like springtime, so it was raining all the time. So we were allowed to go out usually once a day, unless it was really cold or it was raining. So yeah, like the outside was kind of boring. There was like a couple of trees. There was a sand pit for I don't know why, kind of odd because you just get sand all over yourself. There was a sand pit. There was a basketball hoop and like a couple balls and also a volleyball net and some benches, and that was basically it. So that was like the only outside world I got to see for 20 days, and that was alright. In group, you basically just you just sit around. Basically, it's kind of boring. You can draw or color with like the shitty pencils that they have, or you can like bring in your own markers and coloring books and that kind of. Because a lot of people had coloring books because that's like a good way to pass time. I have my own actually. It's a Doctor Who themed one. But there's like a lot of coloring books you can get. So before you come in, get a coloring book if you know you're gonna be bored, and get some markers or pencils if you want to do that. In my hospital, which is really good, they gave us journals that we could write in, and so a lot of people like wrote in journals constantly, and I have like I think 3 journals that are all filled up in my box over there. So yeah, but I don't really hate the experience. I don't think I got any better in the hospital, but I don't hate the experience. I think it was really interesting because I got to see a lot of different perspectives, and I got to meet a lot of kids who were in worse situations than me, which kind of grounded me and made me feel less shit, I guess. I met a lot of kids who were very ill, who were very addicted to substances, who had very troubled family lives, and that was very grounding and very sad to see because we're all in the same boat and we all are struggling with the same things. And so it's easy to find friends that way because you can relate, because like, oh, you want to die? Same. Like, it's like that. But yeah, you can probably make friends pretty easily unless you can't make friends. There's some like bitchy people in there, but that's kind of usual. It's kind of to be expected. Wherever you go, there's probably going to be a bitchy person. I didn't make any enemies, I don't think. There was people I hated, but it's not like I made any enemies. Also, we have snacks twice a day, I think. So there's breakfast, which you go downstairs to breakfast, which is where the cafeteria is. And on weekends, breakfast is you stay upstairs and like they bring cereal and stuff. And then there's lunch, and lunch is like whatever, I already explained the food. And then we have snacks in between lunch and dinner, and after dinner we have snacks. So snacks would be mainly cereal. In this little like room, they had a fridge with like milk and orange juice and yogurt, and then they had like cereal all over the walls. And so basically everyone just ate cereal. Like, so now I'm like skip cereal because I've eaten like Fruit Loops, Cocoa Pops, and Apple Jacks and all that stuff for like almost 3 weeks, and so I'm like so sick of cereal. So if you don't like cereal, don't go to the hospital. Oh, actually, just go to the hospital if you're not safe. But we also had to see a doctor or a psychiatrist every day. We had a therapist as well, but we saw the therapist only during family meetings, which are just your family comes in and you meet with your family, which can be kind of stressful for some people because their family lives aren't perfect. So family meetings are kind of distressing to a lot of people. What else? If you have any questions, by the way, leave them downstairs. Leave them in the comments because I'd love to answer them in a different video, or just answer them like in the comments down there and I'll reply to you. What else? Room-wise, I had a roommate. Well, my first roommate was only one roommate, and so the room was basically, it wasn't tiny. So you got a bed and a desk and a chair, and there was a bathroom inside of your room. And there's no cameras in the room, so that's good, like, so because they're not allowed to do that. But there's sensors everywhere, so you can't, the windows are like unbreakable basically, so you can't break the windows. Because there's 2 sheets of glass, and the first sheet of glass is like really, really thick, and you can't, like, there's like marks on the windows actually because people have tried to like throw chairs at it to like get out. And there's sensors also on the door of the bathroom because people have tried to like hang themselves. And there's also writing all over the walls, which is kind of cool to me because I get to like read little stories when I'm trying to go back to bed. A lot of people like had little ticks on the walls, like marking their days, which I did too because I was like, you kind of lose track of time in there. We also have, every day we either have art therapy, music therapy, or physical therapy, or like movement therapy. Art therapy is probably the most fun for me. Music therapy is really fun too. One of the music therapists was super awesome. His name is Michael. He was awesome, and like he brought in like a whole cart of like, well, he had a whole cart of instruments. He had like a lot of like bongos, and he had a ukulele, so I could play that. And he had a guitar, and he'd just bring in these books full of music, and we would like just ask him to sing songs for us, and he did that, and that was really, really fun. Art therapy, sometimes you could like draw whatever you wanted. Sometimes it was like you had a assignment like, oh, like you just like outline your hands and then you fill it in. Like one hand is like your past and this is like your future, or like what you'd like to see in your future. And we also had every day, I forgot what it's called, but it was like a therapy session with like a group therapy session. And so that could be like they'd ask questions, or we have a topic like self-harm, or we have a topic like boundaries. We learn about boundaries and like sexual boundaries, like financial boundaries, physical boundaries, that kind of stuff, and how to set them, which was pretty helpful. You didn't really learn that many coping techniques, which is kind of annoying. What else? I don't know what else to talk about. A lot of people wrote letters in the hospital, like when their friends leave, like you'd get a letter. I have like loads of letters everywhere because all my friends. You meet a lot of friends in there. A lot of them go away before you do, or you go away before you get to say bye to them. On my last day, I was like so out of it that I couldn't even like say bye to anyone because I was like heavily medicated, because they put you on so many meds that like you're like drugged basically, and like you are just walking around like a zombie and you're gonna fall asleep, and like it's really scary. I didn't have that many scary experiences. However, one of the last week I was there apparently was like the worst week ever in the hospital because everyone was trying to start a riot. So the kids were like planning to like set off all their alarms and like not go in their rooms and being told, and like fight the techs and stuff, and it was super weird, but like I didn't mind it because it was pretty funny to me. I didn't participate obviously because I'm a little goody two shoes and I just did whatever the techs told me to do. But yeah, what else? You shouldn't be scared when you're going in. It isn't scary at all. It's kind of like going into a summer camp if you've ever been to one, because it's really scheduled and it's really you're with like kids your age. So it can be fun at times because like you're with kids your age, but also it is a mental hospital and you are being monitored 24/7 and you are being looked after. And every day you also take vitals, which is your I think your pulse and your blood pressure and your temperature. So they take that every day. And they can also use that when you're having a panic attack to make sure you aren't faking it, which is kind of like shitty to do. But like some people fake panic attacks and they fake seizures, so that can also help them decide whether your seizure or panic attack is fake and how they should deal with it. A lot of the techs and nurses were very good, but also some of them were pretty bad or kind of desensitized to fucked up kids, because some of them have been there so long that they're used to like really abused, really sad, really horrible cases of children and adolescents who are just super sad. I'm sorry I'm all over the place. I'm not really organized. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. But also, roommate-wise, you can have either 2 roommates or 1 roommate. I think some boys had 3 roommates, but usually you have 1 or 2. I had 1 roommate most of the time, but I had 2 roommates twice. So my last 2 nights I had 2 roommates, and like in the middle I had 2 roommates. And you get moved around a lot. Basically, I was moved around a lot roommate-wise because my roommates were either really not crazy, but one of my roommates, I think we were moved because she was kind of too suicidal and she was kind of influencing me. And I was also moved around. We were all moved around one night because we were trying to start a riot. So we were all moved to kind of like stop conspiracizing or creating conspiracies and trying to take down the adults. So yeah, you shouldn't be scared going to the hospital at all. It wasn't a fun experience, but you had some fun times. You can also feel really lonely and isolated if you're like me, because I'm kind of scared to talk to people in general. Like I'm not super like, oh my god, hi, how are you? Because I don't want people to think I'm annoying, so I just don't do that. And so I was like really lonely for a lot of the time because I didn't have any friends, because all my friends were in a different group and I couldn't talk to them or see them. So if you're kind of socially anxious like me, then you should definitely be wary of that. What else? Don't be scared when going to the hospital. I've said that this is like 3 times, but like it is necessary and it can help you. It didn't help a lot of people. Like personally, I don't think mental hospitals really help because you can't get any better in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I mean, you can be sent to residential, which is basically like a mental hospital, but like for months. But the one I was in was like a kind of crisis center, so you were there for like from 5 days to like maybe 5 weeks, I think, is like the maximum. And then also when you get out of the hospital, you go to PHP, which is basically partial, so you go home at night, but then you come during the day. It's kind of like school, and you do therapy, and you do like your art therapy, movement therapy, music therapy. And you also there's a thing called HEAL, which is for if you're a self-harmer, there's a HEAL group. And if you do drugs, there's DD, where you just learn about drugs and like why they're bad, and like people come in and talk to you about why they're bad and like how they can ruin your lives. And there's also AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, where people come in and talk about like their stories. Like adults come in and talk about their stories with alcoholism and that kind of stuff, which is helpful, I think, because a lot of kids in there drink and a lot of kids in there do drugs or smoke or something like that. So if you do that, you're gonna get put in a group for that, at least in my hospital. This experience isn't with every hospital. This is just my experience, so like don't like think that your hospital's gonna be just like mine. So yeah, that's all I have, I think. So thank you so much for watching. kept looking at myself the whole time, so sorry if I didn't look in the camera. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please put them down there. If you have any comments, put them down there. Subscribe, please. I think I have 5 subscribers, so thank you so much for subscribing. I'm super hyped. Bye. Love you.